This is The Hague, where justice happens, or so the fantasy goes. Called the legal capital of the world, this small Dutch city is home to only 500,000 people, but is host to the most powerful judicial institutions. This is where the Kosovo Specialist Chambers is located, where they are trying commanders over war crimes in the former Yugoslavia. The International Court of Justice, the Court of the United Nations, is here at the Peace Palace, along with the Permanent Court of Arbitration where the Philippines won against China in 2016 to assert our claim in the West Philippine Sea. And then there's the International Criminal Court, which had just issued an arrest warrant against Russian President Vladimir Putin for deporting children when Russia invaded Ukraine. The ICC is currently investigating 17 countries, one of them the Philippines, for alleged crimes against humanity for the estimated 27,000 people killed in Rodrigo Duterte's war on drugs, and the mysterious Davao Death Squad, who killed and dumped people in mass graves on orders of then Mayor Rodrigo Duterte, as sworn by witnesses now in hiding. The ICC process in the Philippines started 5 years ago. Since then, Duterte has pulled out the Philippines from the Rome Statute that formed the ICC, undoing a decade of work by human rights defenders, diplomats, and politicians to ratify the treaty across 3 presidencies.
So the system has been built in a way that when a crime is under the ICC jurisdiction at the moment that the crime was committed, it remains under the ICC jurisdiction even if a country withdrew in the future.
Where Duterte was hostile to the court and its prosecutors, the Marcos government has been more sophisticated in its approach toward the court, utilizing obscure clauses in the Rome Statute through the embassy here, and then hiring a lawyer in The Hague who specializes in ICC defense. Sarah Bafadhel, who once defended a Malian Islamist fighter, says she does not represent Duterte.
My assistance is providing is in order to ensure that the Philippines can exercise its sovereign right and its primary right to investigate and prosecute serious crimes.
Their main strategy is this: convince the ICC that the wheels of local justice are turning for those killed in the drug war and the death squad. That is a unique feature of this court. As much as possible, it wants the country to solve its own problems and they would be happy to back off. But ICC prosecutor Karim Khan is also trying to convince the court that the ICC can only step back if national investigations are looking at the same person and the same conduct. Some of the proofs submitted by the Philippine government are not directly related to drug war killings and death squad.
At least for the purposes of the appeal, the argument is, well, yes, they're not criminal proceedings, but they lead to or allow for investigation and identification of potential perpetrators, potential victims, potential witnesses.
For the victims, when you ask them, who do you want prosecuted? Common among the names is Rodrigo Duterte. And none of these proceedings, administrative, civil, and even criminal, reach up to the level of Duterte or even Bato.
There's institutional protection for Duterte from the ICC. There's a manifestation from his House allies to defend him from the ICC and a standing policy by Marcos Jr. not to re-enter the treaty. Analysts see the ICC as a monkey wrench thrown into the Marcos-Duterte alliance, and it is now showing cracks. The ICC investigation is undoubtedly a major political hurdle for the Marcos presidency.
Kung sino man ang nanalo sa eleksyon, the victims would still push for this. Kasi they're pushing for this because of their own concerns, yung fact ng victimhood nila, not because or for any other candidate or for any other political faction.
Rappler learned from informed sources that the appeals chamber can have a decision in 2 to 3 months whether or not to continue its investigation. Only after that decision can the prosecutor begin to apply for an arrest warrant if he can see enough grounds to do so. The ICC needs to be able to arrest that person or trial cannot push through. But the prosecutors have a limited budget, funded only by voluntary contributions of state parties, now stretched across the Ukraine investigation and other trips by prosecutor Karim Khan to countries willing to welcome them. Even if there's a warrant, the ICC has no police power. Putin is scheduled to go to South Africa, an ICC member country, for the BRICS summit in August. This puts South Africa on the spot. Controversies like this fuel disinformation against the court, which is being criticized for being unable to punish Western leaders.
You are certainly dealing with people that have some kind of power. And that means that you are upsetting some people just by existing and by conducting your job. So I believe that it is totally unacceptable to put out fake news about an institution that is seeking justice. And at the same time, it seems to me that it is unavoidable in our current world.
The ICC detention center is a 5-star hotel compared to the Philippines' crowded jails. But will a former president such as Duterte ever spend a day here? International justice is very much political. Justice here can be shaped by the closed-door negotiations of bureaucrats elsewhere in the world, and in the Philippines, by the power play of the dynasties that rule the country. The challenge for the International Criminal Court is to navigate that dynamic and to never forget that in their decisions and indecisions, there's an actual person, a victim, who is affected. Reporting from the International Criminal Court, Lian Buan, Rappler, The Hague.